It's a song by, it's a Manchester band called The Smiths. You know The Smiths? I'm out of practice a little bit.
He's evil. I've been saying this ever since he's been in. It's much worse than Keir Starmer. This guy makes out that he's Mr. Nice Guy.
Mike, we have to talk about Andy Burnham. And I've been very excited about this because, look, this guy is evil. Like, I have no doubt about that. But the problem is, at the moment, people are being suckered, Mike, by this David Brent act. And it actually reached Ukraine. I think this was the moment when he became the latest British Prime Minister to humiliate Britain on a global stage, because he actually thought it was a good idea to sit down and play a Smiths song. Of course, it was a Smiths song on the guitar next to a Ukrainian soldier. Here's what happened.
It's a song by, it's a Manchester band called The Smiths. You know The Smiths?
Yeah.
It's a song called Rush Home Ruffian. I'm out of practice a little bit.
Oh my God, Mike, make it stop. Make it stop.
I mean, it's like, oh God, it's, you know, Charlotte Gill put out a great tweet just before your show started. You know, is Andy Burnham Prime Minister or just a midlife crisis? Because that's what he looks like. He looks like a guy. I mean, he's not young, right? He's in his 50s. He's, you know, he steps out of the train looking for all the world like he's driven it. You know, he's wearing, apparently, I had Jeff Banks on the show when I showed him that yesterday, and who's obviously an icon of British fashion. And apparently that's called a half-zip turtle, right? And as we decided to call him, a half-wit turtle. What's he think he's doing? I mean, it's embarrassing that he's wearing that. If your father was wearing that, you'd be embarrassed. You know, if I wore something like that, I'd be embarrassed. He's too old to be dressing like some guy from, you know, Man at CNA or something. I don't know what he's looking like, but it's just incredibly cringeworthy. And then the whole business with the guitar. And you know this guy, and you're right when you say he's evil. I've been saying this ever since he's been in. It's much worse than Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer was hopeless, you know, charmless, had no talent, was a useless lawyer, hopeless husband, crappy prime minister. But at least you could tell by looking at him all of those things, right? This guy makes out that he's Mr. Nice Guy. You know, every single thing he's promised to do, he's not doing. Today was the latest U-turn where he's now not going to nationalise Thames Water. Oh, why? Because it's too expensive and it's too hard, which is what we all told him in the first place. And then, even at the weekend at the football, he said, I'm never going to Everton unless I can sit in my old seat with my old mates and watch the game that way. Well, guess where he was? He's in the director's box because they told him he has to sit in the director's box for security. Only Labour prime ministers have to have security at football, because Rishi Sunak didn't need it. He goes to Southampton and sit in the stands with everybody else. But apparently Starmer and Burnham need protection.
Yeah, no, I mean, you are so right to point out that he is a danger because he is able to cover it. Because that's the thing. Slippery Starmer could not cover up who he really was. No. He just was so bad as an actor, whereas Burnham is a good actor, but he is actually so much worse than Starmer, in part because he's so dangerous. I mean, I've got an issue with the whole Ukraine thing as well. So he basically turns up, gives this speech, promising to sign this blank check over to Zelensky. Watch this. Don't miss a single update on the stories that actually matter. I'm breaking down the news every day, so make sure you subscribe to never miss a beat. Click that subscribe button right now.
This is the moment to keep up the pressure on Russia.
Now, Mike, I've got a real issue, right? Because we are in financial dire straits. And whatever you actually think about the rights or wrongs of the Ukraine war, it is time that it is brought to an end, not just because of the bloodshed, but because we can't financially afford this. And I have actually got into a bit of a row today, and I'm disappointed about this. John Cleese and I have a real history, okay? So he is a comedy legend. And when I was at The Sun, I formed a good relationship with him. I actually broke the story about the big, do you remember when Monty Python came back and they sold out the O2 and it was like a massive thing, and The Sun gave away like a can of Spam and all of that. I had a good relationship with him. Then he came to GB News when I was at GB News, And he chose to do the big interview announcing it with me. So I was like, okay, we're in a good place. But I know he's a lefty. I know he's a rabid lefty. And he's like a press-hating lefty. He was a big Lib Dem Hugh Grant guy. So then when I was sacked from GB News or left GB News, he very much turned on me quite nastily. But I've been very supportive of him. I don't care what he thinks about me personally. I've been very supportive of him sort of moving away from the Lib Dems, calling out Islamism, supporting Rupert Lowe. But anyway, he's come for me today because I posted on X, we are broke. Ukraine's Zelensky government is proving it is more corrupt by the day, yet our new PM Burnham has just turned up in Kiev wearing a dodgy polo shirt, grinning like a Cheshire cat, signing another blank check to keep this ludicrous war going. And Cleese reposts that. He's also, by the way, going for Elon Musk today, I note, and he reposted it with 3 words to, his hundreds of thousands of followers, another Putin fan. Now, I responded saying, hardly, John, keep up. You need to start watching some real independent journalism on Outspoken. But honestly, Mike, this is really annoying me now. So what? We're not able to have a debate about the Ukraine war without someone accusing you of being pro-Putin. So, okay, we're just going to continue, Mike. Are we signing checks? I mean, the EU has just given another 6.9 billion. Just like that. We're just going to keep doing that, are we? And keep letting these people die. No, it has to come to an end.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. And the fact is, Russia, I've got some Russian friends, right, who've been recently to Russia. And they said to me, Russia is booming right now, all right? They're selling their oil to China. They're selling their oil to Iran. And they're selling their oil to India. They don't care about sanctions anymore because they've had them for so long that they've kind of copper-bottomed their own economy without the need to do any business with the West, right? The streets of Moscow are apparently gleaming. They're clean. The shops, the luxury shops, Chanel and all the others, they're all still selling very expensive handbags and very expensive perfume. They're going backwards and forwards to Dubai. They're buying property in Dubai. They're going backwards and forwards to Istanbul. The biggest number of Ferraris being sold right now in the world is in Istanbul in Turkey, and they're mostly being sold to Russians, right? Now, you might have a problem with that. You might say that they're making ill-gotten gains because of the war. But the fact is what we're not doing is beating the Russians into submission, right? And what's happening instead is that we're getting completely bankrupted by Ukraine, who have, by the way, just now got their hands on the blueprints for some long-range missiles that they can then fire back at us if they decide they don't like us anymore.
Indeed, indeed. And of course, as you say, Russia making a lot of money, and proving everyone wrong who went with the easy narrative that, our sanctions are going to work. And so all I just say to John Cleese is, John Cleese, can we have a nuanced, intelligent debate about this? Me saying that the Ukraine war needs to end and that we can't afford it, we can't afford to keep writing a blank check, does not mean I'm what did he say, a Putin lover or whatever he claimed. But first, if you're turning 65 in America, Medicare is about to land in your lap and nobody prepares you for it. You pay in your entire working life, right? And then you're suddenly expected to sort through thousands of plans, an alphabet soup of parts, and a mountain of mail. If you pick wrong, it could cost you for years. This is overwhelming, and it is not your fault. So here is the good news. You don't have to figure it out alone. Chapter is the only Medicare advisor that compares every plan nationwide. You talk to a real licensed advisor, not a chatbot, and they will ask you about your doctors, your prescriptions, and your priorities. Then they'll match you to a plan that actually fits your life. No pressure, no sales pitch, and it costs you nothing. One free call under 20 minutes, and you'll walk away with real answers. So call 814-813-4918 and get Medicare right the first time. A real person, a free conversation, and some proper clarity about your Medicare options. That's 814-813-4918. But now, back to the show. Dan Wootton Outspoken is your no spin, no bias, no censorship outlet for independent news. We have no big tech backing or billionaires pulling my strings, but that does mean I need your support. So please